Where there is no community, trust, respect, ethical behavior are difficult for the young to learn and for the old to maintain. Hello and welcome to Healthy Living on NTA Knowledge. My name is Lina Obi. Today we will be looking at sudden collapses. You want to find out? Then stay with me. You'll meet my guest after this timeout. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Healthy Living. Like I said today, I will be discussing sudden collapses. What are the causes? Why do people collapse suddenly? You want to find out? With me is Dr. James Komolafe, popularly known as Dr. Long Life, to discuss this issue on sudden collapses. Doctor, you're welcome to the program.
Good to be here, Lina. How do you do?
I'm okay.
Great.
Doctor, we hear different things. They say sudden collapses, sudden this, sudden this. Why? First, tell me, what is sudden collapses?
A collapse
Okay.
could come up when there is sudden giving away of your consciousness to the point that you begin to lose your coordination as to having to be able to stand on your feet. And before you say jack, you find yourself on the floor, whether consciously or unconsciously, and so many other things could trigger it.
Okay.
Stroke could cause it,
Okay.
partial stroke or full stroke,
Yeah, I wanted to
heart
ask
attack, and the rest of it.
Yes, I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
what can cause this sudden collapses?
Many cases, internally and externally. We all know our triggers. We all know atmosphere, circumstances, and issue that our system and body structure wants. Yeah. But by the time you invariably deny yourself those things, it can trigger sudden collapses. Medical reasons who also are used to it. If one has been going through a perennial sickness and what have you, it can develop into sudden collapses. If you are going through exhaustion.
Okay, do we have signs? Any signs,
Definitely,
symptoms to
definitely.
sudden collapses?
You find yourself feeling very dizzy, feeling weak, and evidences of a pre-fainting thing, as if you want to faint, as if the ground is moving, where there is light before you suddenly feel as if everywhere is dark, and you just know that some things are not right with you, and the next thing is that you find yourself on the floor. Sudden collapses. Why? Because certain things have gone wrong with you, internally or externally.
Okay, when you say internally,
Yes.
how do you mean? What are we
When
looking
somebody has stroke, for
Okay.
example, which could be as a result of so many variables, not living healthy, delaying your nutritional content, not sleeping well, you're just a workaholic, walk all through. One could collapse. Sudden heart attack can cause collapses. Panic disorder or sudden event like accident, where you see blood and before you know it, it gets at you, that can reduce the flow of oxygen to your brain. And when that happens, seizure could develop. And before you know it, you are down on the ground in collapses. So many things could trigger it. The one within reach and the one that is not within your reach immediately.
Okay,
So
let's assume the one within one's reach. What happens there?
the one within your reach, you avert it, because prevention
How?
is always better than cure. If you know, for example, you haven't had enough sleep and you've been working and working and working, the best thing to do is not to do work overload, which we call workaholism. Too much work without resting. So what do you do? On a conscious note, deliberate note, find a means to recline, to rest, so that you can recoup back the personal energies you have lost. We will find in our world today, people want to run around the clock without sleeping well. Lina, as I'm sitting here, you ought to be sleeping at least 7 hours per day. But I don't think you do 4 or 5. So those are preparatory ground to sudden collapses. You need to sleep well. I know as a young lady, you want to be able to meet some certain exigencies after work. Maybe you are taking a course, you want to develop yourself. Not too many people have that competence by which they can be self-regulatory as to know where to draw the line. Some just call it a bluff. And that's why in Africa and Nigeria, for example, when people should go on leave, you discover that is the time they work more. Because they say, I'm on leave. They do this course, they do that journey, they do that, and they mumble jumble everything, not knowing that these things accumulate over time. And before you know it, your energy level begins to reduce. And to worsen situation, if your nutritional value is poor, you are not feeding well, you are not sleeping well. For example, you say you are fasting, and throughout your fast protocol, you know you don't eat well, still you are not sleeping well, and you run around the clock during the day. You are applying to sudden collapses.
Can headache cause sudden collapse?
If it prolongs,
okay.
First we need to be able to diagnose what is the cause of this headache.
Okay.
You won't believe it. A leader came to my office not too long ago and said, hey, doctor, I've had this terrible headache that is refusing to go. I prayed, I've used medicine, the Panadol and the rest, it's not going. So my simple diagnosis brought out the fact that the man had been doing less sleep. He was sleeping for 3-4 hours per day, which is unsustainable. Either in the short run, in the intermediate, or long run. You can't do 3-4 hours and think you will live long.
Okay.
And that's why many are going to the world beyond prematurely because of bad lifestyle. Okay. You are accumulating disaster and death, for which sudden collapses could be an avenue. So we have to be careful, not only how we eat, we have to be careful to know how we sleep. Even the ordinary water you call ordinary. Some people are in the habit of not taking enough water, so they are not well hydrated. And you see, these things link all together. You fail in one area, you are given a permission for certain certain behavioral collapses to happen. So sudden collapses could be as a result of so many things, personally, internally, or externally.
Okay.
So you need to know what you can cope with and work your life within that realm. Okay. And that's why nowadays, in occupational health, very vital, organizations and companies, institutions in the front line are beginning to integrate the idea of behavioral checks. Okay. Not just medical check that checks your blood pressure and see some other details, your body mass, weight, and all of that. You also need to be able to know the condition of your emotion, your psychological balance, okay, and to see your personal hygiene as far as food intake and sleep is concerned.
Doctor, we're talking about sudden collapses. Just can you differentiate some of these sudden collapses?
Yes,
please.
Of course. The one we are generally used to is physical collapse. Okay. Where you see a man or a lady right down on the ground, helpless. Okay. But before that physical collapse, emotional collapse, relationship collapse, responsibility collapse. You are already on your way to approaching a particular destination. You say, hey, where am I? And you are talking about somewhere else. So when you lose your coordination, it's a form of collapse. But the one that people see and generally talk about in our climate and in our days is the physical sudden collapse, for which that is even the ultimate. That is like the end of it all. which can lead to anything. It can lead to partial stroke,
okay,
paralysis. It can lead to a situation where the person is completely fainted on the ground or passes on. So that's why prevention, Lina,
yes,
up to tomorrow is better than cure.
Okay.
You know what to do? Do it at the right time.
All right, thank you. At this point, let's go to the street and find out people's view on what they think is sudden collapses. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
A lot of things can lead to sudden collapse. Yeah, sudden collapse could be as a result of maybe bad news that you're not able to bear, and it could be as a result of maybe heartbreak, and can be as a result of it's so many things. Poverty can lead to sudden collapse. Inability to feed yourself, to meet your needs, and when you have pressure from people, from family, and the rest, that can lead to high blood pressure, and this can culminate to sudden collapse. When you have business failure, can lead to sudden collapse. And maybe your expectations, your dreams, you can't fulfill them, and that thing could generate to sudden collapse too. Sudden collapse in the sense that you're walking on the way or in the house, or it can be anywhere, all of a sudden you have a seizure and the person fall down on the ground, and then that's sudden collapse.
It may be as a result of heart failure in the first instance, or absence of energy in the body as a result of malnutrition.
Oh, sudden collapse is a literal word. Sudden collapse, when somebody just suddenly just fall down and slump. I think that's sudden collapse.
If you have done a test and it's confirmed that you are hypertensive, or you suffer high blood pressure, you should be taking your drugs always as prescribed by the doctor, and then you should be doing exercise regularly to control it. These are the areas, some of the things to control the BP or sudden collapse.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's How They Living. Doctor, like you heard them, they said sudden collapses. Different people had different views. Some attributed it to maybe overstressed. So what's your view?
Very correct. All of those are issues we're looking at when it comes to sudden collapse or collapses, whichever way. But like I did say, to prevent is better. When you see these early warning signs, speak up and out. Don't bottle things within you. Don't go through burnout. This issue of, okay, I will rest later. I will rest. Weekend is coming. And by weekend, you discover you have 5 wedding ceremonies to attend. You say, I must touch everyone. You don't know your limit. You overstretch your energy level. And before you know it, you go through what we call energy overdraft. So when you draw more energy than you have built, you are writing application letter to sudden collapse.
What do you think should be done? What should be done to avert this? Some of
crisis.
Yes.
Yes. Every organization, individuals, families, homes, institutions should inculcate the idea of medical checks for their staff and complementarily behavioral checks, because the medical will tell you your blood pressure and all of that, and the best you could get, it's, oh, please take it easy, go and rest, take this drug, go and cure this, go and cure that. Most of the time, those things appeals to just the effect, which we call the symptom, not the ailment or the cause itself.
Okay, this self-medication, what impact? This self-medication?
Very injurious, very dangerous. That you are having headache now does not mean just taking Panadol will take it off. It could actually take it off as an effect. But you need to know that your human physiology, your body, responds to issue, either the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
And so when you see the trigger coming in the form of a headache, and headache to you is just a red alert that something is wrong somewhere. So when you cannot diagnose what is wrong, how will you want to just take a drug to say, well, the other time I have headache, I used this drug and it got me cured? Where you could be curing an effect while leaving the cause there. Lina, you are supposed to sleep for 6, 7, 8 hours out of 24. I don't know how many hours that you are doing. When you don't do that, you are just building up interest and accumulating disaster that will soon happen. And in effect, it can result to sudden collapse. And when that happens, wow, we need cure since we fail to prevent. And that's why you hear people talk today, when you talk to them about preventive therapy, they say, no, doctor, just leave that. When we get to the bridge, we will know how to cross it. And most times, they don't even get to the bridge. Or when they get to that bridge, they're already down. It suddenly collapses. So prevention is better than cure. Take your behavioral checks very serious so that you will be in the front seat of your own life, automobile, and power drive your energy in such a way that you are cute, hitting the ground running, doing all you need to do as you deliberately live strong, young, and long.
So how can we work out of this sudden death? This is sudden collapses. Is it just, these are some of the points you just mentioned now.
It begins from the place of deliberate creation by the rule of intentional living. Never must you compare yourself to another, not even to your child.
Okay.
And then there are some certain things you need to keep abreast on a daily basis from time to time. Like I said, your medical checks. Don't say we are looking for food and you just call it a bluff, not knowing what is even happening in your body, within you and around you, your mind. Don't bottle up negatives. Negatives are developed in the dark room. Live free of offenses. Lina, do you know the way we think, feel, affect what we do and how we view things? And all of this affects whether we live long or not. In fact, death is no longer an accident. Okay. Death now is procedural. It's the end of it we call death. People die nowadays by installment. Little disasters, personal violation to health protocol can trigger sudden collapse. And before you know it, the individual is down. So what do? Please take charge. Take responsibility of your own personal protocol.
Okay.
Know what your body can take and give it to it at the right time so that you can live healthy, you can live well, and you can be productive.
If you don't have money, let's assume if you don't have money and you want to do this variety of checks up of something, how do I go about it?
You don't have money, you must have manners. Because manner is first. Manner to jog, to run, to drink water, to eat food, and to sleep. Very vital. Okay. What do you talk of our parents or grandparents in the village who never knew anything called medical checks?
And they live longer.
And they live longer. Some die 120 years, 130 years. But these are the days of instant coffee, instant marriage, instant everything. Everybody is going to just whatever. We've gone wrong because globalization and westernization is affecting and afflicting us. We must learn to separate between the chaff and the wheat and to know who we are and what we can take. Build your strength consciously. What you read, what you study matters. What filters through your ear, your eyes matter. They are all parts and parcel of wholeness and wellness, complete lifestyle. What do you do in responsibility? Look at the activity you do. Look at the realities around your life. And then look at everything that surrounds your ability. You must harmonize the three. Ability is
Okay.
what you have.
Ability.
Activity is what you do with what you have.
Okay.
And the reality is the circumstance around your life. When you are not responsible to yourself, I'm sorry, you calm down.
All right, so what is your advice to the general public on today's topic?
Prevention is better than cure. You are noticing something different from the usual and the normal. Don't bottle it up and say, well, I'm just fating it. It will go. This thing is small. When we drive our cars and you see a red light on your dashboard, what do? Ordinarily speaking, you park and check. Well, human beings power drive their lives and they see signals and flashes of things that are wrong. They just wave it aside. They live in denial. And before you know it, the thing that does not matter becomes the matter arising. And before you know it, their health begins to debilitate. Before you know it, they start feeling some pains here and there. And before you know it, they can even faint. Seizure can happen. And then if they have been having some personal conditions, health conditions, emotional conditions, mental, psychological conditions before, all those things will just link together. And before you know it, the individual is down.
Final
Take care
Yes.
of your hygiene. Take care of what you feed on, because what you feed on will either make you to live long, strong and young, or the otherwise. Don't abuse your personal protocol. Know your limit, even when you are not limiting your knowledge. Prevention is better than cure.
Thank you, Doctor, for being on the program. Now I know why you're called Dr. Long Life. I hope next time when we call you on the program, you'll be here for us.
Definitely, because I want you to live long, young, and strong, and to walk away from the pathway of sudden collapse in any way. And so we are telling the world that, you see, the world is in your hand. The way you play it as a game is vital. Don't leave your lifestyle protocol to just the wind. You need to take responsibility for how you live, so that at the end of the day, you are strong, you are healed and hearty. Thank you so very much. So we'll be here over and over again.
You've heard it from the doctor. Your health is in your hands. That's why we draw the curtain close for this edition of the program. Till we come your way again, same time, same station next week. Bye for now.